Hello everyone and welcome to my show, FitLife, Healthy Mind and Body. My name is Natalia Kotowska and I will be your host. This is the UK Health Radio, the world's #1 talk health radio. With over 13 years of international experience in sport and fitness, years of study, I would like to share my experience, knowledge, and most importantly, my endless love and passion for living a healthy lifestyle for my mental and physical well-being. On this show, we will be talking about fitness, sport, healthy living, nutrition, fitness facts, and more. We will be answering your questions, we will have guest speakers, and what's most important, we will exercise together. Yes, you heard me right. In every episode, we will have a healthy dose of exercises that we will do together. So we won't just talk about fit life, we will actually experience the fit life together. Are you ready? Then let's go. In today's show topic, we will try to answer a question that many women ask me. So how to be a happy woman? My path to my inner peace. How to find it? Marriage, friendships, partnership, motherhood, you name it, are all wonderful relationships, but they're definitely hard work. Even a happy woman might feel that she's losing her identity or sense of self in this extremely busy and constantly changing world. All roles we accept as a woman, either is to be a mother, partner, a daughter, or a professional, can be very satisfying. And it's easy to get caught up in them when there's so much going on. Motherhood, after all, is a whirlwind. Even the best marriages, relationships, require some effort and maintenance. So with all this going on, how do we make time for ourselves and figure out how to truly be happy as a woman? Happiness usually involves what we want for ourselves and how to work towards this. Maybe you want more time to dedicate to your hobbies, or perhaps you're single and looking for a new relationship. No matter what you want from life, the way of the happy woman is to figure out her own unique needs. Today we're speaking with absolutely extraordinary woman. I would call her a superwoman, Hester. She's a mother, she's a partner, she's a sister, she's a daughter, she's extraordinary professional who dance on the international fitness arenas, perform at the MTV Europe Awards, Royal Opera House, and more. She was a part of City Street Steppers, trained to be a circus aerialist. She was mentored and managed by her fitness entrepreneur mother, Hester Campbell. Hester, welcome to the show.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
How good are vitamin C supplements? Usually only a small proportion of vitamin C actually reaches your cells and has a positive effect. Whereas the high absorption levels of Goldman Laboratories liposomal vitamin C help maintain optimal vitamin C levels in your body and strengthen your immune system. Now get 10% off when you choose Goldman Laboratories liposomal vitamin C capsules. Just quote 10 off at goldmanlaboratories.com.
Do you suffer from pain? B-Cure Laser, a home-use CE-approved medical device for the effective treatment of pain, is now available in the UK. The results of a double-blind trial has shown that B-Cure Laser offers a significant reduction in pain compared to the placebo group. To get your special B-Cure offer now, call free on 0808 501 5122 or Google Radio Pro London. B-Cure Laser.
B-Cure Laser.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
So hello. Thank you
Hello.
for coming on board, being here and accepting the invitation. I'm glad to speak to such a energetic, positive, spiritual lady as yourself, Hester.
Well, we've been trying to do this for ages, haven't we? This feels really good to finally have this time kind of committed to one another.
Right.
Yeah, it feels really good.
Tell us more about who you are, apart from, being this ball of happiness and sunshine that you brings into the room. What do you do and who are you apart from that? Because, our topic today is about actually being a woman and what does it mean to be a mom, to be a wife, a partner, a professional. And how does that, really impact us ladies and what's our path to the inner peace we're searching for?
I know these are such big questions. I've been thinking about it. And that's an illusion, that thing about the happiness and the sunshine. It's an illusion. And, we got to know each other through doing yoga practice together. And I'm so grateful that's what it's felt like for you. And that would make my teacher proud, I hope, because she said that when you teach, you're the sun. You radiate. You need to radiate energy. And but when she was teaching us about this, she said, but when you burn that bright all the time, you burn out. So how do you feel? How do you fill up yourself? Oh, sorry, it's a bit crackly. And so, about me. So I'm Hester. I was born in 1980. I'm 41 years old. I've lived in London my whole life. I've always lived in the city, in an urban environment. And I think I'm saying that because I have this longing, like, not to be. But that's been that's where my upbringing was. And also it means I feel very nervous about not living in a city. Actually, I just feel nervous about not living in London or even Deptford. Like, I've made Deptford into my village. And as much as, like, my work requires me to have some self-awareness, I don't actually have a lot of self-awareness when it comes to kind of describing who I am. So I find it quite a difficult question. Like, I studied first at art college. I went to St. Martin's in London, and then I liked video so much. I went to film school. But I was always a very good painter and drawer, but I didn't understand how you could make that into a career. And then I found someone I wanted to role model myself against. So I've always been looking for role models as well. Mm-hmm. And I found a woman who was a film director, and there's not many British film directors that are successful that are women. And so I kind of made a beeline for her. And then I sort of had a few years working in film. Oh, wow. On a feature film, pre-production level up to production and post-production, and that was with Sally Potter, and then I finished doing that because I realized I needed to move and dance. And I'm just going to turn this around for a second. So that led me to pursue full-time. I guess I've almost always followed my heart, so that led me to go back to college and pursue dance. And I also became a Pilates and a fitness instructor from the age of 16. So I did that. That's because that was kind of by default. My mum, that was my mum's world, my mum's job. And my mum's got 4 daughters. And in a way, we're kind of like a resource in her life. So she trained me up to teach so that I could teach for her and cover her classes. So
smart.
Well, I see it now, it's a gift. But at a time, there was a time I found it like quite a burden. Mm-hmm. Like, I always had to be there when she needed me in that material way. She would go to a conference, Hester, cover my classes, and our relationship has always been a bit strained because I see myself as like, it's almost like she sees me as a commodity, and I know that's not what it is, but that's how it made me feel. So I fell into teaching, and now it's really part of who I am, I suppose, because it fills me up. Going back to that thing about the sun. So there's like a co-regulatory experience. When I teach, it also I'm trying to gift something or give something or facilitate something, but that also gives back to me. And it's a hard life, isn't it? And it's a tough world we live in. So wherever we can find those moments of like filling up and feeling like we are enough in the moment, then yeah, that's the precious stuff that we need to try and hold on to or do more of.
Fully agree.
I don't know if that answered any of those questions.
Oh, it did. Listen, that's your introduction. You know, you kind of do it the way, like you said, your heart feels, and so that's the purest truth out there. If you speak from heart, you know. The reason why I say that is because, you know, for me to get into yoga it was just another level of challenge for my brain. So when I came to your class and you were so welcoming and so, well, very professional, obviously, and explain everything, that made me come again and again and again. And I had this plan for myself to attend yoga for a long time, and I never could commit because it's just, you know, it's just a huge challenge. So that's why I say that, because our work is very underestimated because, you know, people think like, oh, when you're the real teacher in the brackets, like at school, well, that's the teacher. But when you do a fitness teaching, dance teaching, or something that is more like pleasant, but it's not like you don't need it to leave. You have to go to school every day, but you don't have to go to fitness really. But I think like this is in today's world necessity. And what we do sometimes, in my view, it's more important or gives people more than anything else. And so that's why I always wanted to bring on board people who are really putting their heart and their work and their life out there for others. And you're one of those examples, because we had several conversations about it. And, you know, that's what I think, what you said is very crucial. It's very crucial to your introduction. So, you know, when you mention it's a broad topic, it's a very broad topic, our topic today about being a woman. But what does it mean for you, Hester, to be a woman?
So I'm not sure yet, right? 40 years, I'm still trying to figure that out. Sorry, there's some background noise now. And I became aware that I was in denial of my femininity, and not denial of being a woman, but almost like I saw it, or I understood it to be some kind of handicap in society, like the weaker sex or the fairer sex, or and I somehow wanted to shake it off, like, don't see me for my gender. But the reason why I became aware of that was because I had no clue about my menstrual cycle. And I got to about 38, and my poor partner, who by that time I think I'd been with for about 9 years, he would say to me, like, where are you in your cycle right now? Like, I think I know where you are, but where are you in your cycle? And it would trigger me. And I'd be like, don't talk to me about my effing period. My problem is with you. I don't, like, it doesn't affect me. My period doesn't affect me. Listen, I was wrong and he was right. And he had enough kind of, he had enough sensitivity to know that I am different every day of the month. And he would try to talk to me about it and say, you know, you are you, like the you that I love and that I find the flow quite easy with, about 3 days in the month. And the rest of the time, I'm scared of you. And that would make me feel furious. Like, don't be scared of me. This is such a flip. Like, I'm in a society where I have to be scared of men. I have to be scared of, you know, the dark. I have to be like, what am I wearing at the right time? Do I cover up my skin? Do I hide my sexuality? And you're saying you're scared of me. That's not fair. But he's kind of right. He was kind of right. I am like in that place of just me No, he's not right. It's all me, right? It's all me. It's all the different sides of me. And I've got to know, all right, so before we came on this call, I just did about 7 minutes. I never make time for this for myself, but you know how we start our yoga class?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did just now. And what came to me was, you are enough and you are whole and you don't need anything to make you feel incomplete. Like there's nothing about you that's incomplete. You don't need anything else. And also you don't need to be afraid of people taking chunks out of you. Like you don't need to be afraid that someone can take something from you, because really they can't. Like you are whole and you are enough, and it's all a perception. However, in the society that I've experienced growing up, which is the UK, is London, you could say it's Europe as well, I've been led to believe certain things about what it means to be a woman, which includes that my worth is connected to my attractiveness, or my fertility, having children, and then also competing in this very kind of masculine workplace where it's focused on like a goal-driven thing, which is linear, right? And that's all about the penis. Like anything that's a straight line is patriarchy, and anything that's curved or round or spiral, this is the feminine. This is feminine. This is the femininity. And even some of my thinking, like it's like, no, that's right and that's wrong. That's a very patriarchal way of thinking. And the feminine is actually the broad perspective, and it's holding like all these different things all at once, and it's problem solving, and it's creativity, it's the whole kind of thinking outside of the box stuff that people are supposed to sort of do all the time now in their workplaces. Like, you know, how can we get more creative about that? That is femininity. That is some of the amazing stuff about what it is to be feminine.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's only really in the last 4 or 5 years where I've gone, it's really important to me that I am a woman. And what is that history that is within me of womanhood? And what is the wisdom in my womb? You know, what is it that my womb's trying to tell me? Every single day of the month, it needs to tell me something different about what I need. But I'm so disconnected from it that I've been in denial of it. So, yeah, I know that I just said a lot of different stuff.
But, different stuff, there you go. Because it's such a broad topic, like you just mentioned. It's not just one thing. Being a woman is full, like a rainbow, colors and everything, and when you're a man, you're more like a white and black thinking, yes or no, like you just mentioned, patriarchy, like, okay, either or. When you're a woman, it's like,
but the thing is that men are victims of that as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not helpful for men in this society either, because men also have their own femininity, just like I in my gender is woman, but I have masculinity in me. I do have testosterone, and that peaks at different times in the month. And then my estrogen comes at other times of the month. It's all, there is no, this is what I'm figuring out. Like, we are not binary, right? We are all non-binary. We are the rainbow, all of us. And this is what I think, it's really come to the fore with all the activism from the queer community, that all of us are somewhere on this non-binary scale. But it's not something to be like afraid of. It's more like awakening to it, right? So just a funny story, like I had a performance job at the Royal Opera House in this show, and I was dressed as a man through the whole show. I was in a suit, in this sort of like funny like party dream sequence, in a tuxedo, in a harness attached to a stage that revolved and went upside down. And then in another scene, I was dressed as a baker, and I was sort of a caricature But pretty much all the women in that show, we were dressed as men, like we were actresses, but we had to be men in the show. And it was the first time that I'd been put in drag for a job. And I looked quite good, you know. I mean, my wig looked a little bit like Michael Myers, the comedian. So I called the wig Michael. But yeah, I looked quite good. And I was like, you know, maybe this is like, I had a brother that didn't live. My mum had a baby. She lost a baby before me, and it would have been my brother. It was a male child. And I also thought, like, maybe that's what my brother would have looked like, you know. So I think why I'm saying this is, I think it's quite freeing for all of us to realize there is no black and white, and there's nothing scary about that. It's more like, my shoulders can drop, I can relax. I'm not weird. It's not unusual.
So what does it mean to be a woman? A whole bunch of things, doesn't it?
Yeah, I want to go back to the thing about the weaker sex, because you and I work in the fitness industry. And again, it's this sort of measure of strength and this measure of fitness and speed. And I think this was another frustration of mine, like as a girl and really enjoying sports, is that you'd kind of been told, well, we're not going to, you know, you're never going to be as fast as the boys or as strong as the boys, but, you know, you're okay for you. And then, so that became my measure. I'm like, I need to be stronger than the boys. And I would get a pride from that, you know, if I could beat boys, or if I could lift heavier than men, or, you know, even in my workouts, if they failed before I did, it would give me a sense of satisfaction. And that's a huge, you probably relate to that level of competitiveness.
Unfortunately.
But it's also quite damaging, because if I'm not winning,
it's very scary because it's just who you're competing against, and why that victory is so important, and why do you even have that urge to feel like I gotta prove those boys? It's very, very something. The feeling, like you said, the competitiveness. Why is it there? Why do I have to achieve? Why, Natalia? Why do you feel like you have to be achiever in order to be worth it? I hate that. I just came to that realization not a long time ago, when I was actually, I think, going through several of my health issues, and I started to analyze, and I couldn't box, and I couldn't really do much. And I felt like almost like I'm not worth it. Why? Because I'm not achieving. And then I had actually another beautiful interview with one of the psychologists. And that's what she said. Like, you know, some people are the one that need to win, achievers. And I'm like, oh gosh, that's me. Because that gives me sense of value. And why is that even? You know? It's sad, but it's so true what you just said.
Because it becomes a trap, right? It becomes something that we are like shackled to, in a way. It's like the ball and chain around our ankle. Like, if I'm not winning, then I am not worthy. And this thing I just started a week ago, I don't know if I told you about this, is the first time maybe ever that I've just done something for me, because I need a bit of help with this. You know, normally I take courses so that I can progress in my career, or progress as a performer, or, you know, earn some more money, have another opportunity to be employed or teach. But this is called, I'm going to do shout out actually to mixed mental. It's called mixed mental arts. But you know why I like the sound of it? Because it sounds like mixed martial arts.
Back to competitiveness and achievement.
I know, right? But it's
masculinity.
Mixed mental arts. And yeah, you're right. It probably did appeal to me, because it actually probably appeals to that masculinity in people, and that competitiveness in people. So my friend Rowan, he sent me this invitation. I also had to pay for it, so I had to commit. I would sign up for things all the time that are free, and I never do it. And it's the first thing that I've done, which is just for me. And it's about the knowing that it's not about this, but what I'm getting from it is what I was just trying to explain to you before. Like, having that experience, no matter how fleeting or momentary, that I am whole and I am enough.
Mm-hmm. So
it doesn't happen very often. And then I will very quickly, jump out of it and go to self-criticism again.
mm-hmm.
So what happens if we can practice it enough, practice it often, then instead of the default setting being, I haven't done this, I haven't done this, I haven't done this, I haven't done this, the default setting could be, the smooth lake without all the waves and storm and ripples. Yeah.
With that being said, what makes you happy, and what are the ways of making yourself happy? Because you just mentioned this mixed mental art, which you just done for yourself, but that's the first thing. Were you always I can say that, I guess, like a people pleaser, because when you do everything for everyone, you're that type of person that you put everyone in front first. Everyone's needs are more important than yours. But what are your ways of finding happiness?
Thank you. Yeah, really good question. And first of all, I'm not alone in always putting people's needs in front of mine. Again, I think that's another thing in our society that women are taught to do, to be of service or maybe subservient or put their needs last, second, last, or maybe never think about their own needs ever. So it's almost like a confusing question. What makes me happy is connecting to other people, like our conversations, that makes me feel happy. Laughing, dancing. I love dancing, and I don't do it anymore. I decided to try and make it my career because of how much I loved it. But I was very vulnerable to those kind of judgments. And when you're standing in a leotard and tights, looking at a mirror every day, it does something to you, and it's almost traumatic. So I know a lot of dancers that have kind of like post-traumatic stress disorder type thing. They have a lot of obsessive compulsive disorder. They have very high anxiety levels, and I think that's something about being over scrutinized every second that you're standing in that studio, basically naked. You're bearing your whole body, and someone is poking and prodding you and telling you that's wrong, do it better. You never feel like you're enough. So that, I think that's a syndrome that most dancers will have. However, circus kind of freed me from it. So when I found circus, and it was a massive leap, it was scary. It was the same it was also the same excitement I felt when I decided I wanted to dance. And it was my decision. Lots of people were shocked because I was 22. I'd done my degree, and I was like, no, I'm going back to school. So the decision that I wanted to become a circus performer and study it full time, it had that same feeling of right. This is the right thing to do. Like I felt it in my whole body. And there were no mirrors. There was, this big open space, like an aircraft hangar, and equipment. And it was the hardest thing I've done in my life. It used to make me cry every day. My whole body hurt, which suited my personality type, because I want to feel like something's really difficult. Otherwise, it doesn't feel like it's worth doing, unfortunately.
I can relate, unfortunately.
It's that competitive streak again. So, I think what we're getting onto a little bit is, if I can know myself enough and then know what works for me to try and find that balance and that harmony. So, like in my flat, we don't have mirrors, okay? I actually get quite triggered by them. And in my mum's house, oh my God, there's mirrors everywhere. There's like huge mirrors on every wall, and it makes me feel anxious. It actually makes me feel watched. And it makes me feel like I'm being judged on my appearance. She doesn't know that. And, she does it to open up the room and bring more light in. But it makes me feel anxious. And one of these OCD conditions is like picking at your skin, or like picking spots, or picking at your hair, or other things. One of the girls at the gym was very open. She was talking about it yesterday morning. And I said, yeah, I know what that is. And throughout, from about 10 or 11 onwards, I had this obsessive skin picking stuff. So when the mirrors aren't there and I can't see myself, it goes away. But quite often there's other anxieties that come to me when I go and visit my mum, and the mirrors being there is like a first thing that happens. I go to the mirror and look for spots and start picking at my face and injuring myself, right? It's like self-harm. So
a little bit like maybe it's a strong word, but it's a self-harm.
Oh, totally.
Well,
Yeah.
I was saying that because I exactly know what you're saying.
I was mumbling
to myself.
Natalia, I just said it. Yeah, it is. It is self-harm. It's a kind of self-mutilation, a kind of self-harm. I can't remember how we got onto this, but the happy. What makes us happy? happy. Music, singing, dancing. Yeah, conversation. And also, I really love comedy. I really love to laugh. And when I remember that, I quite often I'll look for a stand-up show. When we got the lockdown announcement, whenever it was a year ago, right? December.
No, 2 years almost. Well, it depends which lockdown you're talking about. The first one happened, I think, in March 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
True. So we're nearly 2 years.
And then break, and then second one.
So I'm thinking of the one that was when it was December, and they were making up the tiers, like tier 4, tier 5.
The second one.
The third one, because we had spring, and then we had November, and then we went back into lockdown for December. Anyway, but on that day, a friend of mine, I got this thing going called the Roundtable. It was Roundtable Talks, but it was about unconscious bias. It was part of like my activism of what I wanted to do. I wanted to have people of color talking about emotional labor and unconscious bias. And one of the women that I met and I invited to that, she's really active. She's actually the women's officer for Hounslow for the Labour Party. And I'm like, what's a women's officer? So what she does is quite fascinating, and it supports women in all these different aspects of life. But she invited me to this women's call, and it was a comedy night. And oh my goodness, it was the biggest gift she could have given me. She didn't realize how important it was to me. So on that day when we just had the announcement, I was in this Zoom call with her and all these other women and these female comedians, and they're also like local councillors from like the Labour Party or something. But the comedians, I was like, my belly was hurting, my cheeks were hurting from laughing. And there's something about the science of that. Like when we make certain facial expressions, it connects to like certain hormone release. And I was almost like drunk on the laughter and how fucking funny. Sorry, I can't swear probably, but just like how funny these women were. And so those are things that make me happy.
Then I guess that will link into our next question, which is how do you take care of yourself, or how should we take care of ourselves? So I think what you just said, by laughing, doing things that we love, is one of the ways. But do you have, well, for me now, the self-care that I do is yoga practice, which is very difficult. It's not something that I would turn to out of my own will, but because of, I would say, my maturity now and health issues, I know that this is the right choice that I have to do for my body and spirit. And I know the feeling that I get afterwards, which is beautiful. Do you have any ideas for people who are perhaps females, males, that are going through just similar things to us, what they could do to take care of themselves?
So I think, first of all, we have to be really brutally honest with ourselves to figure out that maybe we're not taking care of ourselves. Because it all comes from awareness, doesn't it? And if I'm not ready to be honest with myself, then I'm going to just like keep my blinkers on and keep on this linear path and not notice the things that are deteriorating, like, you know, how cluttered or messy my flat has become. Or, you know, the fact that maybe my clothes are getting a little bit worn out and I haven't bought myself a new sports bra in however many years. Or like, first of all, I think you have to be ready to have that really like honest conversation with yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's also the feeling, it's also knowing what unhappiness is. Because sometimes if that's just a feeling all the time, you don't know that you're unhappy. And I think we need to get rid of the taboo around like depression. Everyone gets depressed. It's actually a really rational feeling to have. And all animals get depressed. You know, it's all mammals feel depressed, and it's something that comes when we feel powerless. Something that happens when we're in overwhelm. It's also kind of one of the, so we have, you know, fight and flight, which is the responses to threat. And then the other thing that happens, I'm trying to remember, it's got something to do with like when the vagus nerve, oh, you know what, I'm not even going to say it because I'll get it wrong. But the becoming like detached from something, you know, like detaching from your emotions and then becoming depressed. It's another thing that happens when you don't feel safe. It's like another thing that we go into. So I think that's a bit of a chronic problem. A lot of us don't feel safe to be ourselves. So if we're lucky, we have some awareness of that. And then we know what the other thing feels like, the connectedness. And that might mean, like for me, it means leaving London sometimes, you know, getting into open spaces. I know it sounds very cliche, but again, I learned this on this course. Like, we are not evolved for cramped, densely populated cities, built up places. We're not. We were evolved for open landscapes, like basically tranquil landscapes. That's what we were evolved for. And that's what our brains can cope with. We were evolved to have quiet, and the constant noise, movement, action, it will inevitably make us feel depressed. And then it's confusing. It's like, well, what do I do? This is my life, and I'm stuck in it. But we actually do have a lot of power to choose things or make different decisions or just reach out to one another. So I think first of all is like, you have to be brutally honest with yourself. And if you know, like, I have feelings, but I can't put them into words, then just, you know, look for a group. Or, I mean, you can always, I know I'm talking about the negative a little bit. I'm not trying to talk about the negative. I'm just saying it's like a journey to get to that place of feeling more content and whole and happy. You know, it might be going to your GP, which I think that they're not really resourced to deal with these things anyway. But, you know, that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is like what you said, is trying something new that you've never tried before. Like, you tried yoga, doing the thing that you've always kind of wanted to try, but, you know, because activity that makes us feel very present and in the moment is also going to make us feel happy. So for me, I'd love to do rock climbing. I'd really love to go to a rock climbing wall and do that. We also know, and all the science is out there, that physical activity and exercise releases endorphins, dopamine, like happy hormones. So it will make us feel happy, but it's finding like the right kind of activity where we're not going to feel unsuccessful. It's finding the right kind of group or people where we feel cared about. And it's also feeling like you're making your own decisions. So sometimes, you know, if you go to some kind of fitness group and like, I don't know, military boot camp style doesn't work for me because I don't like being told what to do. I want to make my own choices. That's what I'm going to talk about. Yeah. So there's this thing called self-determination theory, and being self-determined is kind of being happy. It's been intrinsically motivated. So doing something for the innate curiosity that we have when we're kids, and it's just this love of being in the moment and being curious and fascinated. So to be intrinsically motivated, we need to feel cared about. So that's relatedness. That's the first thing that's needed. We need to make our own decisions. So that's being autonomous. We need to feel competent. So that's being successful. And when those three things are in the environment, that improves our intrinsic motivation. And that's what I learned when I was doing my degree. It's called self-determination theory by DC and Brian. So, wow, look, there you go. For 20 years, actually, I've been interested in this stuff.
And we still talk about it. They're still trying to figure this out. And that was the end of part number 1 of this extremely important and beautiful interview. Stay tuned for part number 2, which will be aired next week. And so now it's time for our workout as usual. But before we continue, listen to some valuable information from our station sponsors.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
How good are vitamin C supplements? Usually only a small proportion of vitamin C actually reaches your cells and has a positive effect. Whereas the high absorption levels of Goldman Laboratories liposomal vitamin C help maintain optimal vitamin C levels in your body and strengthen your immune system. Now get 10% off when you choose Goldman Laboratories liposomal vitamin C capsules. Just quote 10 off at goldmanlaboratories.com.
Do you suffer from pain? Pt1 Laser, a home-use CE-approved medical device for the effective treatment of pain, is now available in the UK. The results of a double-blind trial has shown that Pt1 Laser offers a significant reduction in pain compared to the placebo group. To get your special Pt1 offer now, call free on 0808 501 5122 or Google Radio Pro London. Pt1 Laser.
Pt1 Laser.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Okay team, so today our workout will be all about stretching our lower body. We will stretch our hamstring, shoulders and quads. I will also upload the video for you to have reference. So my video will be outdoor where I use a tree, but you can do it indoor, outdoor, at the gym, wherever you would like. So first stretch, hamstring stretch. You're gonna place your feet against a wall or a tree and you're gonna really press your body weight against that tree or a wall or whatever you are. Just make sure you really feel your hamstring stretch. You should be very close to your chest, your back leg straight on your toes, ball of your feet, and you should press entire body weight towards your front leg. Stay in that stretch for about 30 seconds. If you can stay longer, perfect. And after that, please switch sides. So make sure you work both sides equally. That's your number one. Stretch number two is a shoulder stretch. You can do it again like myself, outdoor using a tree, or you can lie on the floor or use a wall. If you're at the gym, you can use a frame. You're gonna hold that frame or a tree with one hand, one shoulder, one side will be stretched at a time. So you fully rotate your body towards the opposite direction. Make sure your head is also looking towards the opposite direction. Stay tall. Make sure your hips and shoulders are square. Fully rotate. Stay in that position for 30 seconds. If you're on the floor, exactly the same rules apply. And then after 30 seconds, please make sure you switch sides. And the final stretch, we go for a quadricep stretch. So you can hold that leg with your hands, or you can use a tree like myself, or against the wall. The back foot is against the tree or wall, or you hold it in your hands. You squeezing your knees in, so knees are touching each other. Make sure your hips are square, belly button in, and stay nice and tall. If you have problem with balance, you can do it again against the wall. That will help you, or with the help of a tree like myself. Hold it there, and really you should feel that quadricep stretch. Once you finish on one side, switch it to the other side. It is very important, team, to after any type of workout you stretch, take some 5-10 minutes at least to stretch. Never leave your workout without stretches. You don't want any injuries. You do want to be able to do your workout following day. So make sure you do pay attention to your stretches. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you for working out, and I will see you next time. Even if it feels strange or unnatural, making time for yourself and your own happiness is important. These types of self-nurturing practices will give you strength and help you in difficult periods. They will help you keep a happy woman's face, no matter what you go through in life. Are you a happy woman? How do you make time for yourself while being a wife, a mother, a daughter, a professional? Here are some tips how to make yourself a happy woman. Nurture your interests. Our interests, hobbies, passions, and goals give us things to strive for that are just for us, and this helps us to be better. Keep your financial independence. Even if you don't strictly need to work, keeping some financial independence can be great for your confidence and self-esteem. Enjoy couple time. Making time to connect with your partner as a partner rather than a caretaker is an excellent opportunity to have fun and remember who you used to be. It can lead to a more fulfilling relationship in the long term. Invest in your friendships. Having a rich life of your own outside of the home is a great way to stay a happy woman. Try and make time for a monthly pampering sessions with pals to stay a beautiful, happy woman you are. Take time alone. Alone time can help you to understand yourself and what you really want. It can help you think through decisions and reconnect with yourself. Those are just few tips that I thought might be very helpful. I hope you really enjoyed today's episode as well as our short workout together. Share with me your thoughts, comments, DM me with your life stories. If you have any questions or you would like me to talk about any particular subject, please contact me. Follow me on Instagram, fitnesswithnk, where you can leave your message. And make sure you visit my website, www.nataliakotowska.com, for more information. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.